It's 6 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
It's 6 o'clock. Here we
go.
go.
This guy's on like old man mountain time, bro. We're going by Eastern time, JB.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're on mountain time, man. Come on.
Coming to you live from Mount Vernon Canyon Club, high atop beautiful Golden, Colorado. It is the Real Spin on Tennis, our premier show. And you are joining us. Thanks for joining us tonight. And we are live streaming. Oh, God, those were the days. And I'm your host, Jack Broudy. And we're live streaming tonight. And we just can't wait to get started. So here we go. Tennis, we know, is the king of sports, played by many in little white shorts. Though sport itself becomes more and more, most non-players still think it's a bore. And that's really what I want to start with tonight. Yeah, that was a good one, huh, Teddy? You like that? Why is it? My wife plays tennis and does not play tennis, and she is always thinking this is a boring sport. And none of her friends play tennis. And I guess to onlookers, unless you're really into it, tennis somehow can be a little boring. And I think I know some of the reasons. Number one, the camera angle is so bad, right? I mean, they get the face of Rafa or whoever's playing, and then they go 100 miles away. So you're taken so far out of it, and you're looking down on this big court, and already it's hard to get into. And there's lots of grunting, so that can annoy people. Some of the women grunt so much, it literally gave my wife a headache. She said, turn the sound off, which I gladly do, because I think that's another one of the issues, is the fact that we've had the same commentators for 20, 25 years, and they weren't that good when they started, and it's still not that much fun. They really don't, for the most part, they don't really understand today's game like today's players. So I think those are lots of reasons, and there's many others. I think the fact that football and soccer, there's a lot of camaraderie, right? And there's teams, and I think a team sport, you can really, you really get into it. There's a lot of drama with the team, and it's not. And I always equated tennis to like prize fighting, but in prize fighting, you're right down in the dirt, right? Those cameras are right down in it, and you feel it, and the sweat. You can see the sweat flying from the guy's face when he gets hit. With tennis, you really don't have that view. So I just think it's very impersonal, unless you're a real player or really love the game, and that is a small percentage of players. So that's really how I feel about why it's a bore, and why so many people really, tennis can't break into the top three, right? It can't be soccer, and that's top four: soccer, baseball, basketball, football, and even pickleball now seems to be taken over. So I really think tennis gets a bad rap, because those of us who do play, we know how valuable this sport is. We know how amazing this sport is. And I really think that's the substance of tonight's show. Exclamation point. And yes, our audiovisual department's going to get a lot of extra money for that today. So you need to put me on gallery again.
I already did.
Oh, we are. Okay, so let's welcome tonight's guest. This comedy act is like the New York Eve ball dropping, right? His audience is riveted for 10 seconds. I want you to meet the owner, proprietor, and founder of Ted Jones World. Ted Jones.
Love a good roast. Excellent.
Nice, JB. I like that. Dude, your exclamation point looked like a wiener. But hey, I'm excited to be here, bro. And I'm excited to have some fun here tonight with you boys.
Okay. And remember, it's Giulio with a G. He saves the J for later. So Giulio Gallarotti, introduce yourself here. Giulio's with us tonight, and a New York comedian, and fantastic. We're so happy to have him.
Good to be here. I'm impressed that we've already talked about penises twice in the first 7 minutes of the show. Let's see if we can get 10 more in there before we're done. Good to be here.
Okay, now don't make a bad call on this Argentine player, or he'll spit on your head.
That's right.
Vision fitness expert and unbelievable, extraordinary tennis coach, Javier Llanes from Chicago. Javier, nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys. Well, talking about Pinos, I would say, I hope nobody whips it out, I think let's keep it in, Thank you guys for being here. My pleasure.
You know what they say, big hat.
Big hat, small dicks, The bigger the hat, the smaller the dick.
And finally, besides me here, my partner in crime and the tree which always gives me shade and the director of the tennis club here at Mount Vernon Canyon Club, Travis. Travis?
I don't have a dick joke, guys.
All right. So you all doing well tonight?
Yeah,
Terrific,
we're
man.
looking at it.
We're good.
We got it
Terrific.
covered.
Thank you.
It's nice to see, and we do have. It doesn't look like it. It looks like a sausage party, but we have diversity here. We really do. Teddy, for instance, I mean, I've seen his vlogs. If you've seen any of his vlogs, he literally dates himself, and I don't mean dates himself. I mean he dates himself. He is. How are you identifying tonight, T Money?
You know what? I'm cool with all pronouns tonight, JB. I tell you that.
Okay, good. So let me ask you something. Well, we do have, I did notice we have three things in common, all of us. I mean, number one, we're all really into tennis and we all played college ball, a little bit of pro for Javier. So we got that in common. And you guys are in New York and you're in Chicago and we're in Denver and none of us, as far as I know, are homeless yet. So that's good. So that's a plus.
That's right.
And then of course, thirdly, we're all, really, 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 really ridiculously good looking.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I mean that we got that going for us, right?
Hey, but watch. If you can tell that I just ripped half of my fucking eyebrow by accident, my
Oh my
wife
God.
was like, "What the fuck is that?" I woke up
You
because I
shaved
sleep
it?
No, I freaking sleep with the tape on my mouth to breathe from my nose, and I don't know what happened. The tape got stuck in my eyebrow, and it freaking ripped half of my eyebrow.
But did it help you breathe?
Yeah, look, it looks good.
It looks good, Every kid that I ask, he goes like, "What do you have in there?"
Yeah, they missed the unibrow, I guess.
I know, yeah.
So Teddy, tell me, was I too harsh about tennis, or do onlookers, that people that don't play, do they really see tennis as boring? Because it does. Just my wife being a non-player, I get it from all of her and her friends, and it just seems like tennis is kind of a stuffy, elitist sport. What do you think?
I think when a person who really never played any tennis growing up, and can you hear me? Sorry, is my audio on?
Not quite as good as it was.
It sounds
but
like your
I can
mic
still
turned
hear you.
off.
I think
But
your
we can
mic
still
turned
hear
off.
you.
Sorry, boys. 1 second. Sorry. Does somebody else want to take it while I do this?
I should have a sign that says technical difficulties. I'll have that next time.
Just turn the exclamation point sideways.
All right, Giulio, why don't you nail that?
All right. Well, I don't know. Something about the brand of tennis in America. It just feels like a stuffy sport. I remember when I was in high school, people acted like you were a little bitch if you played tennis or something. Like kids who played baseball made fun of tennis in my high school. And then I moved to New York City and like people respected tennis much more. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It kind of gets this rep as this like country club sport that's kind of stuffy and boring. And I agree with you that the broadcasts are a little boring and a little too PC and all that stuff. But I would love to have more people tuning in to begin with. It feels like, in Europe and stuff, it seems to be a much more popular sport. Like anytime I've been over there, it's always like the third or fourth sport that they're talking about. And here you watch tennis on SportsCenter. It's embarrassing the way that they talk about it. They're like, oh, they're using terms that don't even exist. They're like, oh, he hits the dink shot and the smash. I don't know. And then like they can't pronounce any of the names. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. So I just love for it to become a little bit more mainstream. And I know we're going to talk about it later in the show, but I think the documentary series is hopefully going to be good for it. And it would just be nice to see more people playing and more people interested in it. So it can be a more mainstream sport,
Yeah, and talking about the Netflix series, I was going to get heavily into the camera angles because it's so much better. They do
Yeah.
such a better job in the Netflix show that they do on the tennis, in a tennis match. So Teddy, how you doing over there? Can we hear you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Can you guys hear me now?
Sound
You're
great.
back.
Ah,
Sound great.
All right, perfect. I apologize for this, but this is a live run. You know what I'm saying? So technical
Yeah.
difficulties happen. But yeah, you got to get a sign next time.
You
So
shouldn't have smoked that
I
fatty
agree
before we
with.
started. That's the problem. But
Or you should have smoked too.
And after I'm done. So I think I agree with Giulio in that people like growing up, especially around our age, it was never really that cool to play tennis. Like maybe it was cool to play during the summer when everyone else had free time outside. But for somebody who never played tennis growing up, I think just looking at the tennis court, like you said, from some of the camera angles and seeing the score broadcasted, it's so intimidating. Like you have no idea why somebody is serving diagonally. And then after that point is won, it's 15 love or love 15. And then it's 30 and then 40. And then wait, there's a deuce, then advantage. It's just, I think the sport, the way the scoring is makes it also difficult to get into. But that's probably the number one, I think, would be the scoring. The camera angles, yeah, in the Netflix documentary really kept, myself intrigued. But even still, it seemed like it was a show for people who really like tennis and wanted to see the behind the scenes for the people who were doing the best in the sport, not people who are, 300, 400 in the world, and they're trying to scrape together money to go play tournaments overseas.
right. Javier,
I think.
you were pretty much top 1,000 in the world. So you were one of those grinders that Teddy's talking about. You were out there spending money and not making it.
Yes. Yeah. I think one of the reasons, I think, like Julio said, I think people look at it as stuffy sport. I think also like Mike Tyson said, everyone is tough until they get punched in the face. And I think in tennis, the two guys are too far away from each other. So it helps to find a bunch of pussies playing tennis.
Yeah.
And I think you have a lot of pussies playing tennis. I think that's one thing. But I think also because not a lot of people get to access to play tennis, you can't really enjoy it. There was a guy, a writer in Argentina that it was a Nobel Prize writer, and the guy was blind. And they asked him, what do you think about soccer? And he goes like, I don't understand how each person can run, 22 people can run behind a ball when each one can have their own ball. So if you can never play tennis, I don't think you can understand it. You know what I mean?
But Javier, what do you mean by that? If you don't mind,
what I mean is that most of the people, they didn't experience tennis as a sport as playing because it's not popular. So it's almost like you can't taste it. It's like when somebody says, what taste has it?
And it's also like you can't just go on a tennis court and play with your friend and you both have fun. That doesn't exist unless you both have played before. Yeah, unless you guys have played before. It doesn't exist.
You look at this pickleball, and that's, I think, one of the things. And the other thing that I would say is that, they keep it the white sport. They don't make it more like it is today with our sport. Let's say you look at pickleball. People are screaming, yelling in other sports. Here, we're trying to keep it like long time ago. It's like the Catholic Church. Nobody wants to go to a Catholic church, but they go to listen some crazy shit in the middle of Missouri where people are yelling stuff and singing. And that's not Catholic Church. It's the same thing. Tennis is like the Catholic Church out of the sports for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it's maybe they need to switch things around because it's always been a quiet sport. And I understand why, because when you toss the ball, you don't want someone going, miss, like Noonan miss. Caddyshack.
But maybe we need that.
But if there was noise going on all the time, then the players could just, tune it out as white noise and just move on and go, it doesn't matter. Have a good time. Everyone have a good time. You're right. It's on a pedestal. Tennis players are put on a pedestal. You look down on them and it's hard to relate, I guess.
Yeah. I think that, and then, again, I would say that, there are several things, but yeah.
Yeah. Travis, what do you think?
for me, it comes down to the understanding of the sport. It's the understanding in camera angles. Because with me, I started late in life. I was 17 when I first picked up a racket, played, high JV in high school. Let's go. Captain of the team, found out at the banquet. And it was one of those where I had no idea what I was doing. You go out there and you're trying to grind, you're trying to play. And I couldn't figure out why I, as what I assumed was an athlete growing up hockey, lacrosse, couldn't hit a ball over a net in a court. So that's my biggest piece of coaching is over the net in the court. That'll be $20. So I'll send you my Venmo later.
Well, you're cheap.
Oh yeah. But it's a 4-for-1 special right now. So, and
But in all honesty, I mean, the coaching is, it might not be worth $20, but
no. But the big thing is we talk about camera angles, and the closest you ever get to the match is when you see a coach fist pump at the end of a point. That's it. You don't see the ball on the level the players do. You see it top down, and it doesn't look like they're really doing much, but running and hitting and running and hitting, as opposed to the shape, the form, the pace, the spin, all of it. And that's what's missed in today. It's just, you see it in all these other sports, the big hits, the big throws, the Hail Marys, but you just don't see it.
Well, we were watching, my wife and I were watching the Bills game. That was yesterday, right, babe? Yeah, we were watching the Bills game, and they'll show 2 and 3 to 4 different angles and all in slow motion, and you feel like you're in it. In tennis, unfortunately, I don't think the commentators, they played this game, this flat game back in the day, like, Chrissy Everett and McEnroe and Shriver. It's not the game that's played today. So they don't fully understand it. So all they really do is, they a little gamesmanship. Oh, is so-and-so going to fist pump? I can't wait for that fist pump. Boy, that'll be great when he fist pumps, and they really, they don't explain the nuances of the way they play today. And the way they play is super athletic today, and they use their whole body. So I really think that's a problem also, is we don't have the camera angles. You don't see it, 3 and 4 times and in different angles and go, holy crap. Oh my God, I can see the dust flying from the back of his strings. I mean, those are things that can get you into. That's what I thought it was Netflix, which I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but that's what they did so well. You actually saw the dust and the yellow fuzz flying off the back of the string. That puts you in it. Nobody can really explain it. That's why next week, when we do our shameless plug here, but when we do our show next week, we're going to have, some Australian Open winners, and and these guys are a little younger and a little more hip as far as what's going on the court. And that's what I think would bring the sport to people. We used to have Vic Braden back in the 70s, and not that he was perfect, but he was funny, and he could really make people relate to the game and enjoy the game somehow.
So,
Go
Jack
ahead.
just brought me something up. You asked me because you said I was trying to play and whatnot and traveling and I was on my own in France at 18 years old trying to play some tournaments and whatnot. I think it's this, if you look at how the money is distributed in tennis for the players, what happened is any kid that is 12 years old, you say, hey, okay, I want to be a tennis player. And you say, fuck, you're going to be poor until you make it, so it makes no sense for no family invest on those kids playing tennis to make this game a little more accessible to everybody, because you don't see where you can go. I think people are also becoming in other sports, they say, okay, I'm going to become a star. You have somebody that could be a top 300 in the world. It will be a super rich guy on the NFL. What are you on the tennis? In the tennis scheme, you're dead broke.
But that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is look at all the things tennis teaches you.
I love
self-reliance. There's lots of reasons for your kid to play tennis, and it doesn't have to be to go pro or even to play college. It's to have discipline and so many great things that tennis teaches you,
Yeah, no, but I was saying that basically nobody wants to pursue, you know what I mean? If you're a kid and you're 12 years old, you don't get to go on TV really and be a star. Tennis players, besides the top guys, are not stars. Football guys, basketball guys. I think they're much more of a star, That's what I'm trying.
No,
to
I think you're right. I think you're right. Well,
know,
I think we've beaten this dead horse into the ground. We could go
Move
on
on.
the whole show for this, but let's move on because but no, lots of good points.
This gets serious.
Yeah, let's get serious. To answer all tennis queries, Netflix has dropped a new series. And to turn up the heat, they started with red meat. Nick Kyrgios was the first one. Netflix has a new documentary, and it's called Breakpoint. And we all watched it. I've only watched the first episode a couple of times, and it was about Nick Kyrgios. And that was interesting to me. The first time I watched it alone. And I was my usual butthole self, just, like a tennis coach, picking it apart. Why is Roddick's face? Why is it right up in your face? The guy's getting puffier. I love the guy, by the way. I'm serious. I love the guy. But, he's really funny off the cuff. If you just chat at him, he should have been in a chair chilling back or on the tennis court. But instead, they got you right. He got his face right in you. And I'm like, okay. But then I watched it a second time. And I was being picky. I was like, who is this girl? I never heard of her. What do they have? What is she doing in this show? But then I watched it a second time with my wife, who doesn't play the game. And I saw it in a whole new light. And I thought, you know what? They did a great job, especially maybe bringing new people in, because once again, they didn't, they didn't go miles away to see the game, right? They brought you on the court. And they brought you to the practice court, and you saw Kyrgios sweating, and you saw him breaking rackets, and you were like 3 feet away from him. And I thought the camera angles were fantastic. And I really thought that's what tennis needs, is better production. Once again, better commentators. Yes. But I think just a better production all the way around is what I thought. And I really ended up loving the series, at least that first show that I saw, because they let you get into the nitty gritty of it. And that's the problem with tennis. You don't think nitty gritty unless you're a player. And then you watch Rafa and Alcaraz and all these guys, and, it feels gritty to you. But the average person doesn't get into the nitty gritty because you don't really have enough good camera angles. And I just thought it was a really well produced show. And great to bring new people into the sport, I think. So I changed my opinion the second time I watched it with a newbie, right? My wife doesn't play, no intention of playing either. But she said, oh my God, I didn't know this. I didn't know this. Oh, Nick Kyrgios. And I said, would you want to see him play next time he plays? Because I like my wife to watch with me. I really do. And she goes, yes, I would see Nick Kyrgios play. He's a real entertainer. And, I think he's kind of a narcissist, but I think he's great. He's always been one of my favorite players of the new guys. And he's just so much raw talent. That's why I think it was red meat, because, you pick the bad boy, and I thought it was a good way to start. And Giulio, I'm wondering, you got to see it, right? What did you think?
Yeah. So I thought it was great because it's good for people who love tennis, but it's also good for people who don't know anything about tennis. They do a really good job at explaining the little nuances that we all take for granted because we understand them. Like, I think Teddy, you mentioned this before, like the scoring, or they explain very succinctly, how to do it. So for a new person who doesn't know about tennis, who's captivated by the drama and the behind the scenes stuff and getting connected to these players and their performance, they can also learn quickly how to understand the score, which I thought was great. And to me, I've been dying to see something like this because the same reason why, if on a year where Teddy hooks it up with a credential because, one of our friends is in the main draw, I'd much rather be in the players lounge than watching the tennis because I want to see these people's personalities. I want to see them behaving. I stand in the corner and watch what everybody's doing, see what they order for lunch, all that stuff. I've been dying for that. So to me, this is really fun. And I think it's good for people who don't know that much about tennis also. So I thought it was great so far.
No, you're absolutely right. Because it's a big difference when you got good seats. I mean, Sam Query gave me some good seats once I went over with Pancho Segura, and he nice T, nice money.
They are, hell
yeah. Segura brought me in, and we were right in the tournament. I mean, we were just the best courtside seats you could possibly have all day long, everybody knew him. So I was talking to everyone, and it's really a whole different scene when you have a good viewing opportunity, you know. So you're right about that.
And I think not to go unnoticed, Giulio said like people would be able to tell how to keep score if they paid attention. But I mean, during COVID, they had these tournaments. I think it was UTR tournaments. You guys can
Yeah, a lot of
correct me if I was
UTR.
wrong.
Yeah, we
Right,
played
and
a
they
lot
were
of them.
doing scoring in a different way. And
That's right. One,
Jo-
two, three, four.
and, yeah, and Djokovic and Kyrgios did an exhibition the other night, and they played sets to 4. I just think like maybe we need some sort of spicing up of the scoring, and it's unfair that men and women are playing, you know, women are on court half the time of men in Grand Slams, and you know they're expected to get paid the same. That's different, but I just think like
Okay,
it's
whoa, whoa,
tough.
whoa,
The
whoa,
scoring is
whoa,
tough.
whoa.
Yeah.
The scoring is tough, brother.
Yeah, here come the complaints. But you know what? You know what's funny? Women can run long distance. I've always thought, I don't think they'd mind playing 3 out of 5. They might, some of them might really like it. They're in great shape. There's no
Dude,
doubt.
No, bro. Everyone should be
Interesting
playing 2
point.
out of 3. Everyone should be playing 2 out of 3. 3 out of 5 is ridiculous. That's also like, if I'm sitting with my girl, Jack, if you're sitting with your wife, she doesn't want to watch a tennis match for 6 hours. It doesn't matter if it's the final Wimbledon 21-19.
She's over there nodding she's nodding her head
Yeah.
like this.
It's just we need a score mix up. It's too difficult to understand. It really is.
It's just 15, 30, 40 game, you know. But hey, Javier, I don't know. What do you think, Javier?
I mean, the documentary, I like it. You know, I think it showed a lot more about the, you know, about the tennis war. Now, I think I can't get over that Kyrgios as a near-dinner girlfriend. I think it's ridiculous. That show you that for the most part, you know, a lot of tennis players are kind of losers, you know, because if you have millions of dollars and you have to find a chick on the internet, there is a problem with you. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I can't get
Javier,
over
that's
that.
how everyone's doing it. That's how everyone's doing it, bro.
I don't buy that shit, you know?
Teddy, that
I'm
crossed my
in.
mind.
No. That thing.
Yeah, Teddy,
is
that
just not
crossed my
right.
mind. That
That's
crossed
not
my
right.
mind too.
You know,
Yeah.
we can, you see, look at this. I hope we all have something like this hanging between the legs. And you know what? You listen, we gotta put the balls out there for everything. And going on the internet and finding a chick is not putting your balls out there, you know. You gotta do it the right way. You know, I don't know.
You know what, that did occur to me. I thought to myself, the first thing I thought was, really, I mean, he's got fans. He must have
but
fans
boys,
all over.
wait, guys, hold the phone. There are exclusive dating apps these days that have just hot chicks and like well-to-do men on it.
Hey, hold on.
Christian Dingle.
Listen, maybe I'm saying this. Maybe,
But don't you remember Talladega Nights? I mean, the guy was a superstar, and then the woman goes like this, right? And that's his new wife. I mean, you know.
Can you do that again? Can you do that again? Do it again?
No,
we're okay.
No, my wife is shaking her head right now. She's actually going to walk out of here.
You know. But to me, basically, that's what I think. But at the same time, I think it was awesome. I think the documentary show a lot about the game. I think it was phenomenal. I just you know, and it shows how spoiled Kyrgios is, you know, a little bit. But
it's crazy. It's crazy to hear him talk about his tennis career and how he it's a hobby, you know.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
It is.
You know.
You know what I was really fascinated with? Now you got Roger Federer, #1 for 4 years, no coach, no trainer, and you got Kyrgios, no coach, he hangs out with his mother and his best friends, which I thought was kind of interesting. You know, I mean, here you have 2 people with massive talent, and it's like, wow, it really kind of disses the coaches, really, because I mean, I don't think anyone plays much better than Kyrgios. You know,
nobody does.
No, he's like he's like the Nastasi of today, basically, and no one has more talent. And you could say the same about Federer when he hit the scene. No coach, no trainer. I found that very interesting.
But
You know,
I think also, I think it also could be said like or most of these guys who are at the top, maybe like top 15, top 20, they've either had their coaches for a long time, or I think they use their coach as like a manager position, you know, to find them hits for the day, to find them, like take care of them, like their assistant type. I mean, Giulio, I know has a manager who works with professional tennis players, and that's like what he does as well, you know?
Yeah. Well, and also I've noticed like a lot of the guys will have their guy they've had their whole life, and then they bring somebody else in too. Like that's like Djokovic has that. He has that I forget the guy's Marian Vida, who's always been with him, right?
Oh yeah, and that's what Felix. I don't mean to. Yeah, exactly. And that's what Felix is doing with Uncle Tony.
Right.
Right.
So,
Travis, what did you think of the show? I mean, did you watch it?
I did, absolutely. So I love the first episode. I personally appreciate the camaraderie between Kokkinakis and Kyrgios.
Yes,
that resonated.
That was
with
great.
me
That was great.
as
That was
I grew up
trash.
in sports, and that's just like a bro right there. That's a guy. And then we get to episode 2, you know, and I'm not going to jump ahead too far, but about 5 minutes into episode 2, my fiance is figuring out if Berrettini's single or not. And you know, that's one of those where it's like, yeah, like, okay, good looking Italian
They
dude,
turned off the TV.
a little younger than me, hits a good ball, looks like he does, and it's like, all right, episode 2 didn't really resonate as much.
Well, like I said, they definitely picked red meat for the episode 1.
Oh yeah.
There's no question about that. He's a special guy, you know. I don't know if he's going to do what Nastase did or what Rios did. Those guys were pretty much the same as him. Bad boy, played when they wanted to play, didn't overtrain, didn't train hardly at all, and were just super talents. You know, I mean, I remember Nastase was the first tweener, and Rios was the first guy to pick up his back foot on the backhand, and you know, so I mean, those guys, you know, really helped change the game. But I don't know how many slams he's going to win, if any. I really don't.
I mean, he's not playing in this tournament,
Nope.
so
He
it
pulled
doesn't look
out.
so good.
And that's the thing. Half the cast of the show had to pull out of the Australian Open, you know, and also like the show does a good job at showing how upset they actually get when they lose. Cause as a viewer, I'm like, oh, they lost. Like they probably shook it right off and are fine. But like showing them crying in the locker room, it's just like, Jesus, it really shows how brutal of a sport it is.
And they talk about how they lose every single week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was going to jump to. They either lose every single week, or I don't know how many times you hear it in the first 2 or 3 episodes. I lost, I'm going to retire. I lost, I'm going to retire. I lost, I'm going to retire.
Sounds like me and the boys'
You
14s. You know, I quit.
And
I fucking hate this game. I'm never playing again. As I smacked my racket against a tree in the front yard. You know,
Sakari retired for 4 days and then got back out on court.
Yeah.
She's like, I went to a Greek island, and then, you know, we played. Cool. Welcome back.
Cute. That was cute.
okay. Well, with all its glitz and glam, today we begin the first Grand Slam. We're ready for lightning and thunder when the players meet down under. So here we go. Now we're talking Australian Open, right, boys? And Teddy, whatever you're identifying as today.
JV Jack's like, the commentators are doing shit. This guy's writing poetry over here. Nice. That was good. That was good. Nice
And
work.
believe it or not, that didn't even take me that long.
I believe you.
2 shots of Buffalo Trace, and boom, I was right there.
Cheers.
Cheers. So here we are. We're at the Australian Open. Alcaraz pulls out. Kyrgios pulls out. Kind of disappointing because I like watching Carlos. That Sinner Alcaraz match was something else, man. I can't forget. That was unbelievable. And you know, and I'm just happy that someone's letting Novak play. I hope he kicks everyone. I hope he kicks everyone's ass, because he got hosed. That guy got hosed the last 2 years, starting with the US Open, when he just inadvertently hit a ball, not even hard, not out of anger, and this lady's neck gets in the way.
Bro, dude, that
was bullshit,
you know what? That would happen to the best of us. You just get pissed and you just smack a ball back right in the jugular.
You know what? Most of us would get a point penalty. Maybe they take a game. You know what it is? I swear to God, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, I think it's Djokovic. Everyone loved Roger and Rafa. They were the two pet boys. Everyone loved them, right? And then Djokovic came in and spoiled it for everybody. And he was never well liked by a lot of people. I'm a purist. I don't give a damn. I just want to see the best player. And as far as I'm concerned, Djokovic right now and last year and the year before, he's the GOAT. And I think he's going to take this tournament. I think it's going to be him and Medvedev. And I think he's going to take Medvedev, and he's the most disciplined player out there. And, that was one of my issues with the Netflix series, to go back to that, was, you had the three greatest players in the history of tennis, and they're barely mentioned in this Netflix series. And me being an old tennis curmudgeon pissed me off. I'm like, come on. How could you start even the first show without somehow paying homage to the three real GOATs of tennis, the guys that changed the game forever? But I think that was a big issue for me.
And to touch on that a little bit, people didn't like Djokovic going into COVID, and then coming out of COVID, dude was parties when shit was hitting the fan. Then it's vaccination stuff, then it's political stuff, then it's power stuff, and it comes through as reasons for the layman. And Jack's not the layman here, because obviously,
nope.
And people like him see him for the mechanics, see him for the game, whereas the rest of the world, the rest of the country that doesn't understand it to the depth that everybody here does, they see it as, what a douche.
Yeah,
I think it's a douche. I think it's a douche, man.
I think it's a douche too,
man. I think you gotta get fucking different tennis players. You got so many idiots around with a tennis racket that just fucking despopularize the sport. I mean, I think the problem is the personality of a lot of these people. I think, you look at, I don't know, Kyrgios, the way that he was acting when he was playing the first match of the Australian Open, when he's playing the British guy. I gotta say, man, if Kyrgios is playing in front of me, I'm gonna beat the living fuck out of him. I'm not waiting until, it's not, and I'm a little guy, but I wouldn't let somebody disrespect me like he did. And the other idiot that is in front of him, he finished the match and he almost congratulated him for the win. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. But I think, the problem is how very little cojones most of the people that are playing tennis have today. I think that's the problem, because I don't want to be represented by none of those fuckers, including Federer. I mean, honestly, if you ask me, you said the only one that I think is worth for me to be represented by is Nadal, because the way that he carries himself. The other ones, I gotta say, man, I don't want to be represented by none of them. No Djokovic.
What's your issue with Federer though?
Federer used to be a prick when he started. The more they tied up the knot with the I would say contracts, he became more and more polite. He used to be a prick. He used to play matches be a prick. Even his trainer.
Well, I know he used to
be to break his rackets.
I'm okay, man. I have broke more rackets than anybody. I that crazy stuff. I'm okay with that. The problem is disrespecting your fellow players, I think. And I think Federer was that kind of guy. Amazing with the racket. I don't think there's anybody that is better than him, and he probably will never be. But I don't think that personality-wise, I don't think that I can identify with them. It's
well, you don't think Federer has mad respect for Nadal and Djokovic? Maybe not the others.
He does. He does. But what I'm trying to say is that Federer, when he first started, he was a little prick. And the more they tied up the scenario with contracts and with money, he became more and more polite. The other day, I turned on the internet and I saw Federer dancing. Dude, he's dancing in a commercial. The guy's acting like a clown for somebody's paying money. He cannot even dance.
I'd kiss where Nadal pinches his ass for a $300 million Uniqlo contract, man. Like, you know what? Hey, if it was $299, probably not. But
I don't know, man. I know that the monkey dance with the money, man. But I don't want to be a fucking monkey. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, you're still a monkey. You know, that's the.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
you
know.
know
I
me.
can't buy.
There's
it, you
certain
know?
there's certain people in the game that I think can do no wrong. And
Yes,
Federer, I'm afraid to
100%.
say Federer is one of them. And Djokovic is becoming one of them. I'm a purist, and all I want to see is great tennis. I don't care
Right.
if they screw monkeys. I don't care what they do in their private life. I don't care. And I have other, a shout out to, the people that I respect. Shout out to Dick Gould. I mean, to me, that guy, he can do no wrong. Whatever he says to me on the phone, even if it's, whatever he would say to me, I'd go, yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a
That's a
good
good idea because I respect him. And that's the way that's the way I feel about the top tennis players. I can only tell you in the juniors, they weren't the greatest guys. I played Max doubles partner my first match. I played Federer. Not Federer, Sampras. And, he's quiet. He doesn't say two words. I played Luke Jensen in a doubles match. I thought the guy was going to tear my head off. These guys are not nice guys necessarily, but
That's right.
as an onlooker now, I just want to see the best tennis. I don't give a shit I don't care if Nadal's picking his butt. I don't care if Djokovic is pretending to be Sharapova and imitating players. To me, that's okay. They can do whatever they want because they produce. And that's all I care about is show me the best tennis. That's why the last 2 years pissed me off because the best player with these draws were weird. I'm like, who's in the quarterfinals? It's like Tiafoe, Rune, and everyone's like, oh, isn't it great? New players. I'm like, no, it's not great because Djokovic would have changed the whole tournament. Everything would have been different if they let him and Medvedev play and Rublev. If they let those guys play, the draw would be completely different.
Yeah.
And all I cared about was the
He's
best
11.
draw.
10.
That's all I
Correct
cared
me if I'm
about.
wrong here. Tiafoe
Yes.
beat Rube. Tiafoe beat him in 4 or 5.
That
Which
could be right.
tournament?
I
Open?
thought it was a slam last year. I think it was US.
No, but
No,
Tiafoe
I hear
played
you, Jack.
phenomenal.
I hear you with that stuff. I hear you.
yeah. But as far as the Australian Open, I'm loving it. I'm back on. I watched Rafa. He doesn't look as good as usual to me. Like I said, I think it's going to be Djokovic Med in the singles and probably Iga, probably the 1 and 2 seed but the women is hard for me because they never seem to live up to their seeds. It's
Iga's been pretty dominant. I don't know, dude.
she has been, but she doesn't have a dominant serve like Serena. And she doesn't, I think I like her. She's effortless.
Can I ask you guys this?
I'm stuck on Justine Henin.
Oh yeah. Why does Iga's number 1 in the world by a long shot? She's dominant. I don't understand if you guys have seen this. Sometimes at the net, she'll do this at the net in the middle of a match. And it's really frustrating. I really wanted to like her, and I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Like when there's like an easy ball, she like
Bro,
tries
somebody's
to scare
about to
them?
hit a forehand when she's at the net. She does it all the
Yeah.
time.
No way.
Yeah.
I swear, dude, it's crazy. Look it up. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She's 6,000 points ahead of number 2. Why is she doing that? It's like very poor sportsmanship.
You've seen the video of the person tickling the cat's stomach, and it's like, woo.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
That's the spy tech.
Yeah, I don't think personally, I don't think we've seen our Federer or Djokovic or Nadal in the women. I know people think it's Serena, but Serena was the best competitor maybe of all time.
No.
But you can't say she's effortless. She's not effortless. And I freeze frame a lot when I watch these matches. You catch her in some really ugly poses. And when you watch Federer, it doesn't matter when you freeze frame. He's always an angel. He looks perfect when he plays. So
you
can
have
you
a
get your leg
picture
there, Ted?
of Federer in your bedroom or what? Or in the bathroom? Where do you have it? Jesus Christ, Jack! Come on. It's in the bathroom. Federer's picture.
He looks in the mirror, but it's a poster of Fed.
Yeah.
yeah, I look at myself.
Jokes can't look bad when you're looking at
God, yeah. Jesus Christ.
So who's your pick,
Yeah.
guys? I told you my picks
Djokovic all day.
all day.
Djokovic.
Medvedev.
Medvedev?
Oh,
I like him. He's a
Well,
piece
he
of
should have
shit. He's a
first
Russian
round. He
piece of
only
shit,
lost
but
3
I like him.
I like him too, man.
I like him, man. He's tough. He's
I
real.
really don't like him. I don't like him.
He works
No?
hard. He's
But
ugly.
do you like
play.
him
He
less
plays
than
ugly.
Joker or what?
No, I like Djokovic.
No, but I feel
just
you,
in general,
Medvedev-
not as a player.
Yeah. Medvedev's a real ass dude. He's like, like the clip of him fighting with Tsitsipas is great. Like he's a good dude, but he's not afraid. He won't back down. You know?
No, he's real. I like Medvedev. He plays ugly, he's a hard worker,
Yeah.
he's and I love Nadal, but I don't think he's playing well.
Now, I don't think this is now. I've said this a million times. Oh, he looks hurt, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
annoying as hell.
Everyone says that about Nadal. Every Grand Slam, we think it's his last one and he's not going to win.
Well, Jack and I talked about this when he and I first met a couple months ago, and Nadal played, I think it was Fritz, and it was 5, and he beats Fritz at Wimbledon in 5.
That's right. And the
And then
tiebreaker
retires with a torn abdomen muscle. Like,
Kyrgios.
lose the tiebreaker and let Fritz go on if you're going to
Yeah.
retire, man.
That's something they would have done in the 70s and 80s. Nadal's not the type.
No.
That guy will play
No,
right
no,
to
no,
the
no,
end,
no, no.
right to the bitter end.
Yeah.
They're warriors, bro. They're warriors.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing.
Hey,
Hey,
Jack,
I'm gonna go ahead.
this is, you will love this. I just saw an interview when Nadal was 12 years old. They asked him, "What's your best surface?" And he said, "I like to serve and volley and go to the net, and I like indoors and grass tennis." He was
No
12.
way.
Hey, I swear to God.
And then he hit puberty, or
Yeah,
That's
I don't know what the
crazy.
fuck happened, but that tells
He
you,
switched
the
to
little
lefty?
kids, they have no fucking clue what's going on about tennis.
Uh-huh.
When you think a 12-year-old, 13-year-old has no idea. He said, "I love grass court indoors and serve and volley and going to the net."
Well, I don't
You
care
know?
if you're a tennis player, just a regular person. It's still called young and dumb. I mean,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
they don't call them young and wise.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to share the screen real quickly with you guys. I want to do a different take every time. I want to talk about what's going on out there in the tennis world, whether it's whether it's these internet coaches or whatever you see online. But I want to take a look really quickly here. I'm going to share the screen with you all. And this is something I found. I want to call this segment, "Do You Know Jack About Tennis?" And I thought this was kind of fun myself. And the first time I saw this, I kind of laughed. I thought, well, this guy is kind of cool, personally.
Jack,
So
you have so many adult websites open.
Yeah.
just
this
wait till he
guy-
shares the screen.
So this guy caught my eye. He has all these different ready positions, right? The snake, and that's right, overmotivated, and the step in, right? The step in guy, and that's right, the guy who plays back on the wall. And I thought to myself, you know what? At first I thought it was goofy, but then I watched it twice and I said, you know what? This guy's pretty funny. I think this guy's a baller. I think this guy knows I think he knows Jack about tennis. And I just wanted to see what you guys thought of that video, because it was on Instagram, and I just had to give kudos to this kid. Let me ask you, Giulio, did he miss any of the stances?
He really, every time I thought he was about to miss one, he got it in. Like the lazy guy, he's pretty funny. And I have PTSD about people who would do that, who would like try to like make you double fault, which he captured that as well. Pretty funnily. He's got the wall guy, Rafa, a lot of those guys return like that. Pretty funny. I really enjoyed that actually. Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay. What do you think, Travis?
So for mine, the one that he didn't get is the one who stands in the middle of the service box and then just backs up as soon as the guy tosses. Or
I forgot about
the
that
other
guy.
one, and you brought it up with Iga's spiciness there. One of the guys I used to coach with would tap his racket 3 times as the guy's tossing. He'd split step, tap, 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 forehand. It was never a backhand. It was always a forehand. And if it went to his backhand, it was a missed serve, But those were the 2 that I think he actively missed, was standing on top of the net and tap, 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 tap every time.
Javier, you must have pulled some shit in the juniors. What did you do? How did you return serve?
I did a lot of dumb shit, even from calling, sometimes I was in college, this guy is cheating on me. I stand up on the service line, and as soon as the guy serves, the ball bounces in the middle of the court, I say, "It's out." The guy's like, "What the fuck is?" Yeah, it's out.
Or it was a let.
Yeah.
The line is out, man.
The guy goes like, "What do you mean it's out? It's out, dude. You see? You called the one before out. This is out." No, do you know what the one I think he missed to me or he could have done, but I love the video because you can tell he had played a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, you
Because
can
a
tell.
lot of people do all this weird shit, you know. But I think he didn't show the guy that is nervous and he think he's not, you know, because it's all tight, you know. I go so many times to look at some of the kids play, and I asked them after, "Are you nervous?" He said, "No, dude, you were like this, so fucking tight." And they can't tell when they're nervous, but I think it was phenomenal. I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, good. Me too. Money, Teddy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny because I really do feel like at any given point in a tennis match, I have tried all of those stances. You know what I mean? Like college tennis playing doubles, like you'd have that one, you'd be all set, ready to come in, squeaking your shoes. But I've definitely done all of those multiple times, whether it's like I was joking or I was fucking tired after a point. I've used all of those for sure. So good job, kid.
Yeah, I thought it was a good job. You know, the only one I thought of that he didn't do was something I did against my doubles partner, my friend Lance out of Florida. I think he's in Miami now. He's still playing good ball. But Lance and I were in the boys' 14s or 16s. I can't remember. And we usually play together. We're doubles partners, but we played against each other. And it was in like the semis or finals. It was deep in the tournament. And I'll never forget, because he knew I did this to other people to piss them off. And right before they'd serve, I'd make a big step like that, you know. And I was at 14, I was a jerk. And I'd go like this, and I did it against him. And he knew it was coming, and he chased me. He chased me all around the court. Outside the court, I was scared to death because he knew that I was going to do it to make him double fault. And he did double fault. And he got so pissed, he started running after me like he was going to kill me. It's tough to play your doubles partner, I'll tell you that.
Dirty moves.
Anyway.
It's called mental warfare, not dirty moves, you know. Depends on the sport, but
So let me tell you, fellas, this was a lot of fun. I want to finish with a few shameless plugs, and I'm going to start it off and show you what I want you guys to do. But I'm going to start off with a shameless plug and talk to you all out there, whoever's watching. Make sure to be with us for the next Real Spin #1, because we're going to have an unbelievable show. We're going to do it during one of the AO matches, and we're going to have Johan Crick and Murphy Jensen and John Eagleton. It's going to be one hell of a show, and I think it's really going to be tremendous. And also, of course, go to BroudyTennis.com, where I have all kinds of great podcasts with all these people. Roscoe Tanner will be there next week. I should have said him first, because he's a great guy, and he and I had a tremendous podcast, so you should go see that one. I'm hoping Dick Gould from the Stanford, the king of coaches, I hope he calls in from California and talks to us for a few minutes. But it's going to be a great show. And you can follow Broudy Tennis on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that stuff, Twitter. And so make sure to look for us. And we love the game, and we want to make sure everyone loves the game like I do. So that's my shameless plug for tonight. Giulio, you want to tell us where you're performing?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to be at the DC Improv, Washington, DC, March 3rd to the 5th. If you're in the DC area, you want to check it out. All my dates and stuff are my website, notjulio.com. Check it out. That's it. Thank you.
Money, T.
Jack, that was really fun. That flew by. It was nice getting to know Travis and Javier. Giulio, I obviously know for a very long time. Giulio was like my pseudo tennis mentor for a few years. So it was funny that we connected like that. And then obviously now we're in the comedy game as well. You guys can follow me on Ted Jones World. That's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all the social media apps. If you guys are ever in New York City, you come to the Ted Jones Comedy Show. We're doing it like once every 2 weeks. We have hilarious comics, like an hour-and-a-half show. And just check out Ted Jones World, and you can get all the information there.
Nice. Javier.
Well, if you guys are in Chicago and you need tennis lessons or fitness training, if you're getting a little out of shape, you can give me a buzz, and that's it.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, that's it. You need to run around and lose the beer that you drink, the belly beer. I can help you out with it. That's it, There you
Hey,
go.
Travis, you might want to tell us a little bit about our club that we're at right now. We're in the beautiful bar here, having some cocktails at Mount
Absolutely.
Vernon.
Absolutely. We're at Mount Vernon Canyon Club. We are on top of Lookout Mountain in Golden, Colorado. And if you're looking for a little bit of food and beverage, weddings, events, and aquatics, we've got that. And then especially a little bit of rackets between Jack and I. You want some tennis, pickleball, or platform tennis? I'm your guy there. And if you want strictly tennis, that's your guy there.
And to wrap things up, I really like to thank all you guys for showing up and thank everyone out there who tuned in and watched. I'm getting some texts right now. Thanks, AJ. And I'm having a ball. And that's sort of the name of the game. And I guess the only thing I'd like to say in closing tonight, because I feel like someone's got to say it. I don't know. Federer just retired, right? Very quietly. He didn't do a big deal like Serena or some of the basketball stars, where they go in every arena. He just, I thought he left very classy, just sort of left on his own terms, sort of the way he played. And, I thought before we left tonight, I really wanted to, give my due to the guy. So I just wanted to read one quick passage, a really quick passage from an old poet named A.E. Housman, because to me, it seems like Federer really lived up to this. And that is, and I don't need a piece of paper to look at it, smart lad to slip betimes away from fields where glory does not stay. And early though the laurel grows, it withers quicker than the rose. And I really think that epitomizes Federer's career, because he didn't get in the Netflix series. Nobody talked about it, but he probably had the greatest influence on the game, or certainly on my game and my students' game, of anybody I know. And I think someone has to give him the respect he deserves. And so that's my shout out to Roger. And thanks to all my guests, Javier, Ted Jones,
And
Ted
thank
Jones
you guys.
World,
Nice to meet you.
Julio,
Some of you guys.
Travis. Thank
Pleasure,
you all.
boys.
And I
Thanks,
love
guys.
you.
Nice to
I
meet
love
you
you,
guys.
tennis. I love you, Tennis World.
Hey, Julio, I might be on DC in a week. So are you gonna be? No, in March. You're gonna be there
In March, I'm there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Come
right.
back.
Okay. We
Okay.
love you, Tennis World.
All right.